All right, let's jump right in. We're talking about how to absolutely master those big, intimidating standardized tests. You know the ones, the SAT, the GMAT, the CPA, anything with those little bubbles you have to fill in. Today, we're going to unpack a whole set of strategies that are honestly kind of weird, but they work like magic, especially for the math and reading sections.
And right away, here it is. This is the one idea that changes the entire game. Forget all that advice about taking your time and being careful. I mean, yeah, sleep well, eat a good breakfast, sure. But the real secret, the thing that actually makes a difference once you know the material, it's this. Speed is the key to competence. It sounds completely backward, I know, but trust me, it's the foundation for everything we're about to talk about.
So this philosophy of speed, it sounds like a recipe for disaster, right? But stick with me. In this first part, we're going to completely redefine what it actually means to be fast during an exam. It is not what you think.
Okay, look at this, because this difference is absolutely critical. We are not talking about rushing. Rushing is careless, it's frantic, and it's how you make silly, preventable mistakes. We're talking about velocity. Velocity is efficient, it's strategic. Think about it. Rushing actually wastes time because you have to double back and fix your screw-ups. Real velocity, on the other hand, it buys you time. It's like a grandmaster in chess. They're not just slamming pieces down. Their brain is working so fast and efficiently that their moves are both lightning quick and precise.
So what do you do with all this extra time that you've just bought yourself? Here's the crazy part. The goal is to solve the entire test twice. Now, I don't just mean checking your work. Let's be honest, when you check your work, your brain just sees what it wants to see and confirms your original answer. No, I mean you literally resolve every single question from scratch on a fresh piece of paper, and then you compare your first answer to your second. It is the single best way to catch mistakes, period.
So, how in the world do we build that kind of velocity? Let's get into the fun stuff, some super practical techniques, starting with my personal favorite, math hacks. These are so simple and so effective, they almost feel like you're cheating, but I promise you they are 100% legal.
Okay, check this out. You see one of those horrifying algebra problems with variables all over the place. Your gut reaction is to start moving things around and solving for x. Nope, don't do it. The shortcut is to just plug in a simple number, like 1 or 2 for the variable. Do the simple arithmetic and get a result. Then take that same number and plug it into each of the answer choices. The one that gives you the same result is your answer. Just like that, you've turned a nightmare algebra problem into a simple matching game.
Here's another great hack. Learn to think like the person who made the test. Just picture some poor soul in an office who has to write a bunch of these questions by Friday. They're not reinventing the wheel every time, they use predictable patterns. And they will always include trap answers, the answers you'd get if you made a really common mistake, like adding fractions wrong. If you can learn to spot those obvious traps, you can often eliminate 1 or 2 answers right off the bat. That seriously improves your odds if you end up having to guess.
Now that same exact mindset, thinking like the test maker, it applies perfectly to the reading comprehension section too. The trick here isn't necessarily to read faster, but to think smarter by understanding the rigid rules the test maker is forced to play by.
And this right here is the golden rule. The person writing the test has to create an answer key that is 100% bulletproof. It can't be subjective. That means every single correct answer has to be backed up by cold, hard, factual evidence that is directly stated in the passage. It is not about your interpretation, your opinion, or the vibe you get from the text. It's about proof.
So, what does that mean for you? When you're stuck between 2 answers that both seem pretty good, change your question. Don't ask yourself which one feels more right. Instead, you have to ask, can I find a specific line or phrase in this text that makes one of these answers factually, undeniably wrong? This one little shift forces your brain to stop guessing and start hunting for evidence. It's a game changer.
Okay, so we've got our strategies for test day. But what about the prep? How do we actually study for this thing without completely burning out? Well, this last section is all about smart, efficient, and, yeah, I'll say it, lazy ways to study. This one is my absolute favorite. You know how mentally exhausting it is to sit there and struggle through a tough practice problem? Instead of doing that, just go on YouTube. Find videos of experts solving the exact kinds of problems you need to work on. It takes way less energy, and you can just passively absorb their logic. You can watch a pro solve 40 problems in the time it would have taken you to battle through maybe 4. It is so much better than just staring at a blank page in frustration.
Now, for anything you actually need to memorize, the absolute best method is something called active recall. Here's the difference. Just looking at your notes and thinking, yep, I know that, is called recognition. It's passive and it's weak.
Active recall is forcing your brain to retrieve the information from scratch without looking. The easiest way to do this? Turn your notes into flashcards or just cover up the answers and force yourself to explain the concept. That's the mental workout that actually builds strong memory.
And here are 2 last quick and dirty hacks for you. First, always prioritize breadth over depth. If you're crunched for time, it's way better to do a couple of practice problems from 10 different topics than it is to do 20 problems on just one topic. Second, if you can't seem to focus, use a little social pressure against yourself. Just set up your phone and record a time-lapse of yourself studying. You won't want to get caught on camera slacking off. And hey, you can't scroll through social media if your phone is busy being the camera.
All right, let's bring it all home with a little bit of tough love. A huge amount of what we call studying is really just a fancy form of procrastination. We need to stop.
Let's just be real here. Making that beautiful, perfectly color-coded study schedule, that's not studying. Fiddling with your Pomodoro timer for 10 minutes isn't studying. And, I know this one is popular now, asking an AI to organize your notes for you is definitely not studying. These are all things that make us feel productive, but they don't actually get the job done.
So here's the bottom line. The only thing that really, truly matters, the only activity that actually counts as studying, is the act of getting the information into your brain. That's it. It doesn't matter if your notes are messy. It doesn't matter what app you use. None of that is important if the knowledge isn't making it into your head. So just focus on that.
And that's a wrap. So I want to leave you with this question. Think about it. What is one test shortcut or trick you've figured out over the years that feels like you're cheating but is totally legit? I'd really love to know your best strategies.